Hey guys, coming out of a brainstorm, I started looking into a technique called steganography, which is the practice of essentially hiding information in plain sight. In this example, what I did was I hid a payload, which is an image, inside this specific image, but I also hid something within the text itself, which is the password to unlocking this payload. To demonstrate how we can use this, what I'm going to do is decode this information first and then work backwards and show you how I encoded it in the first place. So let's start with the text itself. I'm going to copy this tweet text exactly as it is on the Twitter website. In here, I basically set up scripts to kind of decode all this information. So here I'm going to paste in that text that I copied from the website. And if you notice, let's see, I gotta move the window up a little bit. So if you notice, there's only, I think it was like 64 characters, but if you look down here, it actually shows 192 characters. And what it's doing is it's actually hiding encrypted information in the spaces in between using what's called zero width characters. So once we've saved this file, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a script called decode tweet, and it's going to pull the data that was encrypted and hidden inside that message. So here's the secret payload. For this example, I hid a password in here. So with this password, we're going to decode the image file that was also part of the tweet. So click on the image. You want to get the full-size image, not the thumbnail. So what I'm going to do here as a manual example is I'm going to save the image, and then I'm going to type in the name image from tweet. And you got to make sure it's a PNG image. In the written documentation, there's a guide on file sizes, encoding, and things like that to look out for. But you want to make sure it's a PNG file. Once we have the file saved, I put it into a folder called data image decode. And from here, what I'm going to do is run a script called decode image. And what that did was it found an embedded file named Abby. And as you can see, it dug up a file that I hid inside that file. It's my dog, Abby. This technique isn't limited to just images, hiding within images. You could potentially put any kind of information, right? It could be like a authentication string or a username or something that can validate that this image belonged to so-and-so or was issued to so-and-so. The information is also encrypted, so without the password, let's say in the script I hard-coded it, but let's say I were to change the password. If I run that same script again, basically spits out an error saying there's no file to be found. Now that you've seen how decoding images and text work, let's take a look at the encoding process. To encode an image, first you need a base image file, which I'm using this one. It's a PNG. A payload, which can be text files, any other kind of files, but in my specific instance, I'm using a picture of Abby. And then a location to output to, and a password. So let's delete the previously generated file. And then we can run the encode image script. And then what comes out is essentially the same image file as the base image file. But you can see it's quite a bit bigger. You can then take that image file and import it into your tweet. Now that we've seen the encoding process for images, let's take a look and see how we can do this for text. What you'll need to encode a message is going to be a base message, a secret message you want to hide, a location to output to as a text file, and a password. So for this example, what I will use is this message. Experimenting with geometry nodes in Blender. What do you think? Question mark. Right, so it shows that there's only 64 characters. And then the payload, the secret message I want to hide is this image password string, which is only 31 characters. So once you run, and right now the final file is empty, so I'm going to run it now. And then once the script is run, it'll save to this file. But when you highlight this, you notice it says 190 characters. And then as I kind of thumb through each of the characters, if you're watching the column count, you can see that once it reaches certain spaces, it'll start counting down, but the cursor won't move. Essentially, these are those zero width Unicode characters that the data is being encrypted into. Once you have this final output text, you can highlight it, copy it, go back to Twitter, and then paste it into your tweet. Notice how there's only 64 characters, but it shows there's only 7 characters left. And that's all those Unicode, those half or zero width Unicode characters taking up that space. Well, now you guys know how to use steganography in tweets. Any questions, comments, please let me know. Thank you.